And
Have you been able to get some sign up underneath you? Really?
well, one, she's out in Washington State, and she had just gotten licensed. And I connected with her, and she's all signed up out there.
That's great.
Hi.
And then
How you doing?
two
Okay.
have started K-Score now, and so I'm kind of in the loop of the pipeline. I don't know, they kind of put me, I think it's kind of like opportunities in command. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to
Because-
send you an email that says
Yeah,
this person
it's
sends
the
me.
recruiting pipeline or something.
And I don't think that means anything until
No.
that actually.
Exactly, but at least they've connected me with them,
Yeah.
So anyway, so now I kind of have a little idea of what I'm doing now. I'm ready to put an ad out there. Oh, and so then, like I said, I did just a quick one on LinkedIn, and I was getting some more too. So I'm like, I better be ready to go when I start paying for one. And when you just
Like,
said
I'd rather do like nonprofit.
It was, yeah. It just gets overwhelming.
I don't know, but I have her.
You're really upset.
all right.
Oh. Yeah.
No, and
Yeah.
well, and the thing about the one I'm doing that I'm paying for them, they send them, they put them on drip emails. And so I don't have to do as much.
But
Okay.
There's something regularly going to them anyway, and then I just kind of. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll do it for a while and
Yeah,
see how it goes.
no, that's great. I should be better at it.
Well, it's time consuming. But the few that I've talked to, it's been super fun to connect, and anyway,
Yeah, that's awesome.
so.
could you send me more?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, send me more stuff.
Okay.
Alexis is on. Yeah, I'm not doing well. I know, it's okay. Alexis is on her way, I guess.
Okay,
She's coming.
okay, all right,
So she'll probably just fly in here.
Sure.
and We'll get going.
that's good.
So-
We're just chatting, so
Okay.
anyway, but are you both sick at home?
I mean, he's always stuffy. Like
Have you been taking
literally.
his allergy medicine?
Yeah.
Huh? You got me ready to start it.
You can start it
Why
off.
don't you start, Robert?
What do you got for us?
Hey guys, my name's Alexis Beyondich. So
Oh.
it's so fun. Hey Trent,
What's up, Alexis? You got hairier.
you have no clue, dude. It's growing everywhere.
Good to know.
Hey, I'm trying to be a lady. Hold on. Okay. So one of the things we were going to talk about today was I can have this conversation with Trent actually. Did you see the thing that Redfin put out about leaving NAR?
I did.
Yeah, I did. It seems like a little bit more of like a flex than anything else. We're one of the markets where it's required to be a member to have access to MLS. So that could get interesting for us.
Oh, I think that you're absolutely right. I think it's an entire PR stunt. So Redfin rescinded their position at the NAR back in June. So all the talk of, well, it's about the sexual harassment at NAR, that came out October 2nd. That had nothing to do with them removing their seat like they said it did. The flex as you referred to it this is a nuanced conversation. There's a lot of ins and outs with the claims that they're making. And all the consumer is going to remember is Redfin leaves NAR. Did they say in the same press release that they can't leave NAR? Because it would just put them at too much of a disadvantage. So it's really interesting that they're positioning things like that.
I'm hoping.
And my name is Alexis Beyondich. This was a really great conversation. We had just jumped into the whole Redfin
Yeah, awesome.
thing.
Cool.
Robert Stewart's here.
Robert Stewart is here. I mean, hi, I'm Robert Stewart.
I introduced myself as Alexis.
I appreciate that.
They all bought it.
That's awesome. Hi, everyone.
Just sad feet.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here in person. Apologize. As Jonas said, we wouldn't be a realtor if we weren't late. So not usually my shtick, but and actually this time it felt stressful. So yeah, sorry. All right. So I wanted to just kick off because this group is we're just like a mixed bag, and I wanted you guys to all meet and let the staff reintroduce themselves and help have them explain their roles and how they support you, because I think the revisiting of that is really good and helpful, because we don't always know the support that we have backing us up in the office. So why don't you guys both come up, and Lacey's going to come in a little bit. So come on up.
Mike counts on this one too, you think?
Yeah,
Micah could.
Oh, yeah. You're joining the staff too. Yes, that's right. Come on up.
Joined, yeah, he's
Joined.
been here for,
You're in the club, get up here. bud.
A minute? How many minutes?
he's got
Okay, welcome.
Howard. I can start out just because I'm looking at the names and I think I've talked to many of you. You guys basically know what I do here, but I'm kind of your go-to person, I would say.
So what's your title?
Director of Agent Services. So I hang out a lot with new agents like Micah, kind of help them right away, get going and plugging into a lot of our resources we have here at our market center. I work directly with the productivity committee on creating the training calendar each month. So if you guys have any questions about that, you can obviously come to me or have any input.
Yeah, suggestions and requests also.
Yeah, of what you want to see. Because again, I don't benefit from the training calendar. I want all of you. So feedback is the best. Board of Realtors, I help a lot with that. Licensing, all that great stuff. But again, just kind of your go-to person. Even if I don't help with it, I can easily get you connected with the right person or find out the answer. So yeah, Sarah, the Director of Agent Services.
Awesome.
Go.
I go next. I'm Hannah. All of you on the screen know who I am as well. You probably know me from my old role, which was Director of First Impressions. I am no longer the Director of First Impressions. I am the MTech, which is Marketing, Technology, and Event Coordinator. So I am moving into more of the NOAA role, a little bit with technology. And then I'm also heading up all of our market center events and helping with agent marketing. I'm learning this position still yet, but yeah, that's
So Hannah, what are the main tools that you utilize or are a specialist in? So if someone had a question that they would come to you specifically, like, is it command? Are you like the command expert?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
I am the command expert. I am the marketing expert.
So what marketing tools do you use?
I do a lot with designs in Command. I use Canva, and pretty much anything else that you guys want me to use for you, I can help you with. So,
And to connect with you, is it best that they ask to schedule time with you?
you can absolutely do that. You can send me an email at my new email. Can you hand me a marker?
Yeah, I can.
I'll write it down for all of you.
Okay.
We'll let you get away with it. Just this one.
Yeah, I tried to do that.
You won't be able to see that.
Oh, they can't see it? Oh, yeah, they definitely
Get a
can.
tattoo.
All right, over here.
Can everyone see that now?
So it's M as in Mary, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, C as in cat at kw475.com. 475 refers to the number that our office is assigned. So our office is 475. That's why you see it in a bunch of places and we use it in a bunch of places. And this is the short and abbreviated version. So, okay, awesome. Thank you, Robert. Any questions for Sarah or Hannah so far? I know we're probably doing some repeat, but I do believe that it's beneficial for you guys to just be reminded that we have a really great staff and they're very supportive. Now, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Micah. I'm replacing Hannah. First impression.
Director of First Impressions. So
And
we're-
you're also an agent.
And I'm a new agent too. So
Congrats, welcome.
First day here was yesterday.
Today's day 2.
So we're putting him on the spot.
You know everything.
I'm president.
So Director of First Impressions, do you want to speak to it or do you want Hannah to help you explain the role?
Probably us help a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yes, kind of another go-to person. You can send all requests to him as well. He also does your listing coordination for you. So when you have your first listing or any listing, not just first, you can send that and he can upload that to the MLS, do status changes for you. We do ask that you send in the change forms to the front desk. Command does not alert us if you put a change form in there. So please, if you need anything changed in the MLS, please send that to the front desk and Micah or Connie will take care of that as well. Maybe you should.
That's it. Yeah.
So, we do have coverage on Saturdays. Our office hour coverage on Saturdays is
10 to 2.
10 to 2.
Not physically in the office.
And we are not physically in the office, but the email, the front desk email that we all have access to is checked, on Saturdays from 10 to 2. And anything outside of 10 to 2 on Saturday or anytime on Sunday, there are a number of other resources that you can reach out to, but there's nobody actually actively checking, right? So I firmly believe in the value of sharing this information and repeating it, because what happens is sometimes we have a 3 p.m. Saturday listing and something needs to be changed or updated, and there's no one actively checking. That doesn't mean that we don't want to support you. We will do our very best to figure it out, okay? If it can wait till Monday, then we will have it wait till Monday. All right, thanks, guys. I'm gonna welcome up Lacey.
I mean, do we get to call Robert Stewart up here since you all
He
can't?
introduced himself.
Everybody's back here managing our chat. You're hired.
Just make it work.
Extra value to our office.
Go ahead, introduce yourself and your role, 'cause you're brand new too.
No, I'm almost 2 months in.
I know,
I'm
right?
I only get to use the avenue for so much longer, but I am gonna ride that wave for maybe a few more weeks. I'm Lacey Schultz, Director of Operations. My job is to make sure that all of those people that just introduce themselves have the tools they need to support you. And make sure that we're doing it in the most optimized way that we can. The great thing about coming in here is that this building is not on fire, you guys. Like, we just got out of a regional meeting talking about like specifically our market center, and there's so much to celebrate here. It's incredible. Like, I'm on cloud 9 right now. Like, y'all are amazing people. You hear about the other market centers and how they're performing. We are outperforming on so many different levels. It's incredible. So what's great about that is that, like, when something's great, how do you make it even better? Like, that's a really fun challenge to have. We brainstorm great things to talk about to bring to the office, but what we have to celebrate right now is a full staff. I mean, I'm so incredibly grateful for the team that I inherited. There's no way that we would be where we are right now without them. So none of this is I'm riding their coattails. The success is them. But yeah, I mean, really, if there's anything, if you have ideas, anything to improve, make things better, you want to chat, you're going to hear from me too. I want to know about your business. I'm going to be stepping in maybe a little bit more where Jen used to. Jen's job really is to manage kind of the back of the house, go out and get new agents, make sure that we're growing, that we're thriving. So if you have somebody that's looking to come on, or you want to have that conversation about recruiting, building your downline, talk with Jen. She's great for that. But really, when it comes to like your production, I want to start talking about your goals. Where are you at? What are we doing to get you there? I'm not new to real estate. I've not been a realtor, but I've been around long enough to hold people accountable. I've been around long enough to know what it takes to be successful. And I will tell you that I went to Mega Camp and I drank the Kool-Aid, and I love Kelly Williams.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So that's my job. And to just be your cheerleader. So yeah.
Awesome.
So when I call, please answer. Please meet me for coffee, and please have lunch with me. Come in and talk with me. I'm nice even when you're not hitting your goals, I promise. All right, yeah, anything else you know?
No, that's good. I just wanted to reiterate that we're a relationship based business. And so we as an agent population should have a relationship with our staff
Yes,
also. So
absolutely.
if any of you don't have or haven't taken the opportunity to have coffee or lunch or pop in, stop in, have a conversation. I think we all do better when we like. I know that when I have personal relationships with all of you, it makes the conversation go smoother and easier. And I will tell you, when you guys call me and you're like, hi, I'm an agent in the office. I'm like, oh, I wish we were past that. So we could just be like, hey, what's up? I want to help you now fast. Because if you're calling me, and that's how all of us on the staff feel, is that if you're gonna reach out to us for anything, we just want to like get to business right away and support your business. So
And your well-being, and we care about you. If something's going on where you're really struggling, like how can we support you? It's not about like, if you're in despair for some reason, a life event, whatever it may be, like we need to know, because we don't always know. Via stalking your Facebook,
Yeah,
or
we
she tells us, but it is really nice to know what is going on in your lives, because we truly care.
yeah,
That's part of the reason I like Keller Williams, or I love Keller Williams, is that it's not a transactional. And believe me, I've worked at other brokerages where it is a bit more transactional. The love and the care just isn't the crux of the relationship. So yeah, it's so fun to see some of these faces on here. Like,
I know, isn't it great?
yeah. Did I see it was Larissa on here? Welcome. She's
Yeah, she is. She's right there.
Yeah, there you are. Hi. Yeah, Tiffany. Oh, another one that
Yeah, she's
I
there
have
too.
not met formally in person, but cannot wait to. Brooke is on there. Brooke, I have exciting news for you. We're going to talk about social media room. All kinds of fun things coming. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Sounds good.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. Yeah.
All right. I would love to hear a little bit about the mortgage industry. How would you guys all feel about Tom popping on and sharing some stuff about what's going on related to financing? Tom, would you be willing to share with us?
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for having me. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, really well.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Good. So there's just a couple of things. As you all know, the interest rate environment has been rates have been going up and a lot higher than most people have expected, which is affecting all of your buyers and really it's affecting their total monthly payment. And there are things that you may want to look at. I don't know how many of you went on Tom Reichenbach's call about the buy down. But if you're having trouble selling your listing, please reach out to one of us. Even though it may not involve us, we're always here to help you with things like that. It's kind of like what the builders are doing right now, but a version of that. It gives you an opportunity to have a rate that's as low as the low 5% range and a payment that works for that buyer that's going to go up. Hopefully interest rates will come back down in the meantime, or before that period does go up. And if that customer wants to refi during that time, there's a portion of that buy down that was paid by the seller that they could use. So it can be a little complicated. I don't want to over confuse it right now because it's really hard to explain in a short period of time, but please schedule a meeting with me if you want to go through this. I can take you through. This is just one of the options to compete in this higher mortgage interest rate environment. One of the things that Alexis and I were talking about, she was asking me about the appraisals and am I seeing issues with appraisals right now? And I said that I haven't. We've been hitting the number on appraisals, and the only time consistently, regardless of where the market is, where you guys could make sure that you try to not do when it comes to appraisals is anytime we get an agreed upon purchase agreement and then an amendment later that increases the purchase price and has the seller paying the closing cost, almost consistently that will cause an appraisal issue. I don't know why. I haven't talked to the appraisers about it, but if you're going to do it on your first original purchase agreement, have that, if you're going to ask for seller paid costs, have that purchase price, don't change the purchase price after on an addendum. Does that make sense?
So instead, what we would want to do is update the purchase agreement or what, so counter offer addendum or regular amendment, right? Like either one, you're saying.
Yeah,
Don't
but it's better off just having that a new first page. And I don't even know if the right way for you guys to do it. I'm just telling you what causes problems for us. And that what the solution is for us to have a purchase agreement with on the first page, the purchase price is not changed. It's one purchase price and then seller paid costs.
So there's 2 pages that need to be updated. First, where the sales price is indicated on page 1, and then where the closing cost portion is indicated. So to avoid appraisal issues, because ultimately you're artificially inflating the price, the sales price of the home by the cost of the closing costs or the rate buy down. And if you want that to go through, you're increasing your likelihood of it happening if you update the purchase agreement completely instead of just modify the, just add an amendment.
Yep, exactly.
Robert has a question and it may be from the chat.
Yeah, this is from Trent Zimmer. He asked, to what length can we go to advertising? How can we advertise these financing options in public agent remarks, supplements, or a photo? I asked it, was he talking about the financing options that Tom's laying out?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we wanted to advertise buy down options with price estimates and such, what can we do and what can we not do?
You can avoid and sorry if Alexis, you were going to jump in on this. You can avoid any exact interest rates because they're all subject to change. So saying things at like rates as low as, or you could have a listing, and then I've got a listing worksheet that I could share with you that shows this is the purchase price, and we can and you can advertise a payment based on interest rate as low as 5.5, for example, and then it would have the subject to all the things that need to be done. So the bottom line is, Trent, I can share something with you that we've been using to market that, and feel free to use it or plagiarize it however you want.
And Trent, are you also asking where specifically in the MLS input form can we be marketing it?
Yeah, like are people having luck putting something in the public remarks that just says something as vague and simple as ask your lender about this?
Yep.
Or can we say, we have a lender, or you can reach out to New American Funding for this program. You can't advertise things on MLS. That's where and then obviously we as agents can't discuss rates. I understood that, but how do we keep it compliant? And then obviously, like builders, right? Builders are doing the rates as low as with a little asterisk.
Yep.
To get people to bite. And so I guess I'm just trying to figure out what's the best practice for actually getting people to understand this and ask questions about it before just writing off the listing.
So here's an idea, much to what Tom said about rates as low as. I don't know why it would be inappropriate, and I subscribe to the school of ask for forgiveness because the MLS hasn't exactly been consistent in answering my questions. So I would be more than happy to support all of you guys saying something to the effect of sellers are open to the option of assisting the buyer in a rate reduction program.
In the public remarks or in the?
In the public remarks. That's something coming directly from the seller, right? Seller will, the freezer is no different than the seller is willing to entertain a rate reduction program for the buyer.
Seller will fund a rate buy down.
Yeah, a rate buy down. You could be as specific as you want. It's kind of like saying there's a $3,000 carpet allowance. There's a $10,000 rate buy down allowance, right? Same difference. And don't we still have financial remarks? So financial remarks are definitely a place where you can.
Those are agent facing.
Those are agent facing only, but that is where it's not a marketing opportunity. It is a seller option offering. if that makes sense. So it's like, what are the sellers willing to do or offer? I would put it in there. I would put it everywhere you possibly can. I would put it in the agent remarks. I would put it in the public remarks. I would put it in the financial remarks, and I'd put it in the showing instructions.
Does this get us in trouble inadvertently with the appraisers who are going to see the listing?
Ultimately, I have no idea, because all appraisers work differently. Unless, to Tom's point, he's run into, if you have an amendment where you increase the price and ask for seller concessions, that's where they're seeing the appraisal issues.
As long as we start with it on page 1, we're good. Okay.
Yeah, and the reality is, sorry, go ahead.
It's really no different than seller paid closing costs. It's just it's a form of seller paid closing costs.
Yep. I personally, I'm sure Tom would volunteer for this. I have had, Tom, what do you call, I think when I originally started, when I actually worked in the mortgage industry, they called them good faith estimates. What do we call those now?
Closing disclosure.
Closing disclosure. So when you're running an estimate for someone, you call them a closing disclosure?
Well, it's a pre-application worksheet if I'm doing this before they've actually made a complete application. So before we need to send out the true disclosures, it's called a pre-application worksheet where I can send that. And, it's compliant.
Right? So I find it very beneficial for me to have a pre-application worksheet for hypothetical scenarios with a $400,000, a $500,000, and a $600,000 price, the current interest rate, and a minimum down, a 10% down, and a 20% down, right? The lender has to put some work into this. And then also a breakdown of if there was a $10,000 buy down or a subsidy program, how much could the payment change? Like literally a scenario where you go through and you say a $500,000 house at 8% interest rate, with 5% down, 10% down, and 20% down. And then if you put 10 grand at it, how much does it change the payments at each of those levels? That information right there, you guys, if you had that at your fingertips, would that not benefit you? It would. So by all means, reach out to Tom, ask for the help with these hypothetical scenarios. You're not making promises. You're just simply being able to say, with a $10,000 rate buy down at the current rate at, if a minimum down at 500,000, you're probably seeing approximately, $200 reduction in payment. I know my buyers, if I were to tell them, if I could quantify an approximation of $200 reduction in payment, it's a valuable piece of information, and that's all available. It just need to be ran in that worksheet so you can have access to it. You're not giving people this information physically, you're verbally explaining it and not in exacts. Tom, can you agree with that?
Yeah, and I can put something even more simplified down and get into as much detail as you want, and send this send it out to the group, and we can continue to modify it if you want.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Because I think what happens is, until we're faced with the need with a specific client, it's almost like, do we know what questions to ask? And that's kind of why I wanted to dive into this a little bit further. It's like, what is it a rate buy down program? Is it a payment subsidy program? But either way, that's on the buy side. On the list side, to Trent's point, market it, market it, market it, market it. Sellers are open to entertaining offers that help reduce the interest rate for the buyer or subsidize the buyer's payment. And even if the agent and the buyer don't know, don't you think it's a great opportunity for them to ask the question if you're putting generic information like that out there? And you can say 10,000, you can say 3,000, you can say no number and just say the sellers are willing to entertain. Because are our sellers willing to entertain rate buy down and payment subsidy programs right now? Are they willing to give up part of their proceeds to sell their house? Yes, they are. Trent,
could you take it a step further and just do a completely very blank non-branded JPEG and upload it into the photos? That way they can't not see it. It's literally right there.
the MLS, in the same way that we have doctored picture rules,
Yeah.
we can't do just graphics.
You can do,
You
can
can't?
only do home specific, so it'd have to be, neighborhood, amenity, community, home, floor plan. The pictures have, but you could do it in supplements. I mean,
Okay, supplements, and then I could also have a piece of custom artwork made and hang it in the dining room. And then on the artwork, we can edit it to, like they put fire in the fireplace and Top Gun on the TV, they can put the rate buy down program on the wall in the dining room.
candles and towels and put it on the MLS. I don't know why it would be any different.
Or you just ask for forgiveness.
You ask for forgiveness
Right.
and you're like, oh, nice.
Right next to live, laugh, love, it says, your rate could be $475.
As low as.
Great. And no monthly payments.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, any thoughts or projections on where you see things going through the end of the year, beginning of next year? Any improvement anytime soon? Like, what's the commentary going on in your world?
So our Fed was a little bit irresponsible in the way that they've handled it. A lot of times our Fed operates through the rearview mirror. In other words, they look at data based on where we are right now and compare that to the month before, the year before, whatever it may be. They should have raised the rates. And for those that know it, it's I don't want to make any assumptions about your knowledge of what causes rates, but when the Fed raises rates, it doesn't necessarily mean that interest rates are going to go up, but they typically will follow. Anyway, the Fed raised rates too late and they let them go on too long. And we were all expecting interest rates to come down after the last Fed meeting, and what they had said was that they're not going to reduce interest rates anytime soon, and that's what's causing rates to stay high right now. Everybody was or all the analysts, I should say, were expecting fourth quarter here to be quite an improvement, but they also expected us to be in a recession right now. Unfortunately, a recession will cause rates to come down. And when that's going to happen, or when more specifically, when the inflation is completely under control, that will cause rates to eventually come down too. So a lot of people are thinking first quarter of next year, second quarter of next year, possibly going into the third quarter before rates start coming down.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate your contribution and wealth of knowledge. It's really helpful to be able to have an educated conversation and just kind of understanding. I know none of us have a crystal ball as agents. We know you don't have a crystal ball either. And we can only, we can take the information and share it the best we can. One thing that I wanted to mention, a family member of mine wanted to see a house, and they have zero mortgage on their home. They're young. They have zero mortgage on their home. Good for them. I feel like I don't know about you guys, but I have like a renewed optimism for some of our younger generation, that they really have like listened and saved and not overextended themselves. And there is a group out there, but if they sold their house, they'd have like $200,000 in equity, and they could buy a $500,000 house, and it's like buying a $300,000 house because they're putting $200,000 down, and the interest rates aren't that. I mean, they're affecting them as a buyer, but not like pushing them out of the market. So, there's a part of this where if we stay optimistic and focus our efforts on being educated and then educating the consumers about their opportunity to purchase, my buyers went in for approval and didn't even balk at the price that they get, the payment that they got quoted. Didn't even balk. They were like, it's a stretch, but we could do it. And I also think that there are, we talked last week in the panel, there's a big opportunity for people with equity in their homes, right? So focusing energies on home ownership duration of a decade or more, 2 decades or more, 3 decades or more. You know, if you shift your focuses on and your conversations around focusing on the right people, you know, we as an office are doing really well. Our agent population is doing good. We are not, you know, destitute and dismal with business. If you feel that personally, I'm just going to tell you it's temporary. I've been in this business long enough to know that there's ebbs and flows, there's ups and downs, nothing's ever consistent, and it's going to turn around again. And we just have to be, I am fascinated by the real estate industry because we are the most agile and nimble industry. We can shift on a dime. We can shift on a dime to all of a sudden jump into multiple offer scenarios and then shift back to negotiating inspections to the depths of hell. I mean, we shift all over the place. We're highly talented. So, you know, stay positive and optimistic and focus your energies in the right places, right? What you did for the last 3 years probably isn't relevant moving forward. Refocus, shift, readdress the opportunities that exist out there. I want some feedback from the group. What are you guys seeing in the markets where you work? Whether it's listings or buyers. I'd like to know what's actually happening, like boots on the ground. Trent, you want to talk about Lakeville?
Sure. Listings priced well, attractively, and in good condition at a great value, right? So they're going to look at footage. How much work does it need? Is it in decent shape? That stuff's still getting okay showing activity, but anything that's even a little bit overpriced is like dead. And I would say that's kind of not just Lakeville, that's South Metro. It's probably all over the Metro in general, really.
How are you refining pricing to be accurate?
I am mostly looking at anything that is currently active or anything that has closed in the last 30 days or has gone pending in the last 30 days, and then making the phone call to that agent and asking them if they can nod their heads and kind of let me read between the lines, right? So if there's a house listed for 500 and it's pending, it's going to close in 2 weeks, but you got to be on the market this week with your people. You can say, you know, did you go north or south? And they usually will give you like an idea of, we gave some closing costs and we're a little south. Okay, perfect. That's all I need. Because right now you need to, your values are going to come from what you're competing with today, because the market has changed significantly in just 6 months. You can't look at anything 3-6 months old. You're looking at old data.
So would you agree that over the last 3 years, we were looking at historical data for pricing and ignoring actives because there weren't any, and now we're looking exclusively at actives?
100%.
Data?
Totally. And the thing, it was the velocity behind each sale was so fast that you could look at a place that was listed 30 days ago and closed yesterday. That gives you a really good idea what's going to happen if the market's not shifting, right? Rates haven't changed. Inventory hasn't changed. Perfect. We know our number. Now you have to go, okay, well, rates are not going down. They might even go up, which makes it even more challenging. Who's out there that you're competing with right now? Because what they're going to do, and I always tell all of our sellers this too, is like the last thing you want to be is the lightning rod house. The lightning rod house is the person that you guys look really nice. You're a cool house. You're photographed well. They come and look at it, and then they find a better value down the street, and they bounce off your house, and you go and they buy your neighbor's house. So if you want a good script, it's like, do you want to sell your house or do you want to sell your neighbor's house? And people don't want to sell their neighbor's house.
Not usually.
No.
How would you handle the objection of, all my neighbors are going to be mad at me if I price that low? Because we've never heard that.
Well, not for your neighbors.
I was just going to, your neighbors will do it to you.
Right?
I mean,
Is
it's
this
like
about friends or is this about selling your house?
this is why these conversations are actually really easy for me, because I always make it really clear when I step into these people's houses or when we're on Zoom. This isn't my opinion. And it's not your opinion. This is just data. This is just facts. So if we can just look at the facts and then let them tell us what to do, we eliminate any emotion. And if you can eliminate emotion, you're not attached to anything. Just read the facts, decide the price and what's going to help you win, and go with that.
And now more than ever, eliminating emotion from the conversation is very
For
powerful.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to, as a seller, you have to detach emotionally, and you want to try your best to attach emotion to the buyer, because buyers make decisions based on emotion, right? So if you can create emotion when they come through the house, then they'll give you what you want. But for the most part, you want to leave emotion out of it.
And with sellers, the only emotion you want to attach to them is what's next, where they're going, and provided it's a positive and it's a movement in a positive direction, keeping them focused on their forward moving direction and releasing the past of their home and detaching, literally verbally talking to them about detaching emotion from the past of their home.
Yeah. People will let such, $10,000 is a lot of money, right?
Yes.
But when we're talking about $400,000 or $500,000, 10 grand is kind of a drop in the bucket. And so it's like, you go sit with these sellers sometimes. I'm like, well, let's list you at 375. And, if we have to reduce to 365 in 14 days or 21 days or something, then we can have that conversation. Well, I'm not doing that. You're going to let $10,000 at the end of this whole thing stop you from moving into the single level living that you want with no maintenance so that you can go to Florida 6 months a year? That's ridiculous. And then they're like, oh yeah, I guess when you say it like that, it's like, well, no, that is what it is. So I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to have those conversations, especially when you're a newer agent, because you feel like you're not confident enough and you lack value to be able to have some of those really just blunt conversations. Because I remember when I was new, like I wouldn't have had that convo. But now that I've done it over and over again, and I'm very confident in my ability, you can shoot it to them straight. But to me, the biggest thing is you got to really know your numbers. You got to be an expert. You have to understand the market to have that convo, because if they start firing back at you, you have to have a response.
Can I add something about the actives right now?
I was waiting for that, Brooke.
Well, the actives are tricky because there's a lot of offices and a lot of people, I think, not having these conversations. And so you'll have actives that are 3, 4, 5 weeks on market, and they're not like 15,000 over. They're like 50, 60, 70,000 over. I mean, they're far. And so it can get a little tricky with your sellers when you're trying to help them decide on price, to say like, hey, they're still on the market. We're not looking at 10 grand over. We're literally looking at 40 to 50 under where they are right now for a similar house, because that's how far off they are. If they weren't that far off, by 3 weeks in, they would have had an offer. By 4 weeks in, they would have had an offer. And I think I found myself doing a lot of CMAs in the last couple of weeks where I'm really far off from some of these actives that I've set on the market. And that can get tricky. And so I think it's a good time, if you're questioning yourself, or if you're not sure on pricing, or if you have a buddy in the market, or if you kind of need a second opinion, that's okay. And get that before you go to the sellers, because you might be really far off. And we did that this weekend and still sold. And we had 5 offers in 3 days and 17 showings. And I mean, it worked and everyone's thrilled, and we ended up where they wanted to be. But that was a hard conversation on the front side to have. So I think just.
Let me offer a addition to that. When I present my market analysis, I show photos of the competing properties, and in the last 3+ years, things have sold so fast that that's the only option we have, is to show the photos. If I have a scenario like Brooke just mentioned, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 over, guess what I'm doing? I'm bringing my sellers on showings. I'm going to bring my sellers on showings, and we're going to walk through, and we're going to go.
I'm doing it tomorrow.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Because if your sellers can see, touch, and feel and experience in person what these other homes are priced at, they're gonna be able to use their deductive reasoning to figure out would they pay as much as is being asked for? How does their home compare to the subject properties? Where should they be priced, right? And if a home is sat for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that just exponentially like brings down their overall value the longer they're sitting, because to Brooke's point and to Trent's point, homes are selling quickly when they're prepared well and priced right, right? And so focusing on prepared well and priced right in the photos, because those are sold, and looking at the homes that are sitting with your sellers, that's kind of that back to basics concept of, unless you guys have so much business that you can't spend the time doing it, you might as well bring your sellers out for a showing expedition and help them price correctly. And so just throwing that out there.
That, and it
Yeah,
really
hey.
seems like next time price is so important right now, right? Like there's a bunch sitting in some of my farms that like, if they would have priced where they are right now, they would have sold in multiple offers and no one's touching them.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting about that, Brooke, is another really great stat people can have in their back pocket is that if you look at just like the last 5 years of data, once a property reduces price, typically you can expect to get 96% of your reduced price. So your list price sale price ratio takes a massive hit once you reduce, because you show weakness, right? So if you, instead of pricing right from the beginning, giving yourself that opportunity to have 2 people interested and get what you want or more, once you reduce it 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever the price point is, you're going to take another 3 to 4% hit probably on that number. And that's a story that you can share with sellers because it scares the crap out of them.
Larissa asked, what's that ratio again?
96%. Once you reduce the
And
price.
actually, Jen, it would be interesting to have Jen pull these numbers because I think Broker Metrics is the only place you can get it. You can actually get today's list price sale price ratio, and then you can get list price sale price ratio on price reduced properties.
You can,
That is a super interesting number.
MLS.
You can get list price sale price, but I don't know if you can pull of the reduced price. You might be able to
Granularly break it out.
Yeah, you might be able to. And then I was going to say to Brooks, to respond to Brooke, because she's right. A lot of these are way overpriced. One of the reports that I think never gets talked about nearly enough that everyone should also use on this time of market is the showing time report.
Yes.
There's a report in there that you can look at. It's called Target Market Analysis Report. So you hit reports at the top, and I think it's set all the way to the bottom. You pick the city or whatever parameters you want to do. I usually do by $10,000 or $25,000 increments, and it will show me in the last 30 days where all the activity is from 300 to 500. And so
How many showings?
How many showings? This is not just you or your market center. This is showings on the board for that area. So, you know, for example, I've got a listing right now in Cannon Falls at 395. It's quiet. It's overpriced. It doesn't justify. It's a great house, but it's Cannon Falls. And so I send them this report. From 325 to 450, there's been 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 showings in the last 30 days. 0 of them between 375 and 400.
You could speak to
There's
that.
there's been 11 of them from 4 to 425. But when you look at those houses, they're new construction or they're on acreage. And then there's a 350 to 375. There's 2 showings. 325 and 350, there's 4. There's activity above and below, but there's none in between. And so when you can bring that report too and just go, look, this is literally what's going to happen. I can almost promise you.
So data deep dive. So it's really preparing yourself at all times to understand the data and know what the factors are that are contributing to what's happening with your listings. Robert, we have a chat question.
Yeah, Larissa wants to clarify. Once you reduce the price, whatever that home sells for, at the end of the day, they're only getting 96% of the final price reduction.
Yes, correct.
That's correct.
That's correct.
I think also reevaluating your listing presentations. Like I took days on market out of my listing presentations for a long time because wasn't relevant. You were selling in a weekend for the most part, right? Like we weren't looking at what's average days on market in your area and your price point. And so again, just getting back to basics on prepping sellers for what they could see, what that might look like. And we just, I don't know, not making the promises.
Yeah. Not many
Setting
problems.
expectations is helpful. Oh, I know what I was going to say. The other piece of it is setting up the price reduction conversation in your listing presentation, because that's one I took out a long time ago too. What do these price reductions look like? After how many days on market, what percentages can you expect to price reduce to stay in front of the market? I put in an offer on a home in Stillmill this weekend. They started at $599 at the beginning of September, went down to $579 a couple weeks later. Then they went to $550 on Thursday and went into multiples. And they did it in 3 weeks, right? That's a lot of money, but they did it in 3 weeks. They went into multiples. We won it, actually canceled. A nicer house is up at $599 in Stillmill. My buyers won't even look at it. Won't even look at it. So really it matters. Like,
Yep.
But the only reason they got that is because they reduced so aggressively so quickly, and he never would have gotten those reductions if he didn't have those conversations up front.
Yeah. Good call, Brooke. You know, what's funny too, is you say it's a lot of money, you know, like, but it's money that doesn't even exist. I call it when I'm talking to these people, I'm like, that's phantom money. Like if you're worried about reducing it 50K, why didn't we list it at $1 million?
Yep.
It,
Phantom money is a good-
you're negotiating things that don't yet exist. There's no value to it yet. So let's stop playing with monopoly money and actually play with real money. It's just, yeah, it's interesting. They don't think like we do, right?
Another thing I want to reintroduce is the power of feedback. We are going to have a dwindling real estate population. Not our office, but the other offices and other brokerages are going to continue to have a dwindling real estate population. And I want to reintroduce the idea of effective feedback. I want you guys to all really, if you're showing homes, provide effective feedback. Provide feedback related to what other homes did they see? What did they like better? Why did they like it better? What was it, priced better, prepared better, whatever. Yesterday, I sent feedback for a property and I told them what temperature light bulbs they should have through the house, because there was everywhere between the soft white to the compact fluorescent. And my buyers did not have a good experience in the showing because the light bulbs in the home are so crazy all over the place. Some people in this world are actually very light sensitive, and it's a real thing. It actually evokes an emotional reaction. And if you as a listing agent aren't being proactive to get your light bulbs consistent throughout the home, you're doing a disservice to your seller. Small cost, big impact. And I sent that through the feedback form, which is likely going to go to the sellers. I'm not trying to take business away from anybody else, but I'm sure as heck certain that those sellers are annoyed that their listing agent didn't tell them to modify the lighting, the temperature of the light bulbs throughout the home so that it makes it consistent. Yes.
Trent offered a quote from Monica Reynolds that says, "My marketing works. It's the price that we're testing." And then he goes on to say, "Nothing worse than an operating room vibe in a home."
An operating room vibe in a home. An operating room vibe would be compact fluorescent lights. Nobody should be listing a home with compact fluorescent lights or fluorescent lights of any sort. The optimal temperature for your light bulbs is 2700, just so everyone knows. It's enough light, but it's soft and it's very effective. Use feedback, give feedback. Don't say they didn't like it, they found something else. Provide information. Create relationships in this business with other agents. Help them understand that you're of value to their business and that listing. Here's another thing that's like pulling it out of the old school box. Go preview houses. Go show houses. Bring your friends and show houses. Stay active in the market. Go see what's out there. You know what's going to happen is this used to happen all the time. I watched my family have their they would get calls from clients of other agents and said, "We canceled with our agent. You showed our home more than any other agent. So you clearly have buyers for our home," when our agent never showed our home once. could it not work? I mean, if you aren't crazy busy all the time and you have time on your hands and you have a farm, look at every single house that comes in, right? Get out there and get educated on the properties, make yourself available and accessible, and provide feedback. None of those things will hurt your business, I can assure you. Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna talk about the light bulb thing. I was gonna say too that the brighter the bulb, the more flaws you see on the wall. And so I always tell my buyers, like if we have a narrow hallway, you know, plaster walls, we want to get some soft light in there because it's showing every single imperfection. And so the softer, the better. So just coming at it also from that angle is very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Soft light goes a long way. It's hard. It's amazing. It's just like colors on the wall evoke emotion, light bulbs and the temperature of the light bulbs. Let's see what else I was going to say.
Hey, Alexis, one thing while you're on the feedback deal that I think is just awesome is as agents, when we show the listing of another agent that we really like or that we know does well, complimenting in the remarks. So, or in the feedback. So like if, you know, I've got a really good friend over at Remax that just a phenomenal guy. If I show the place and my buyer's not interested, I'll make a note. You're in great hands, Steph. Stefan is the best. Thanks for, you know, letting us show your home. Sellers will see that. Stefan will see that. Stefan Petrushek, for those you don't know, him and I do that stuff all the time. We'll go preview each other's listings and leave feedback like that. It helps so much. And this is a relationship business. We got to help each other out.
Now more than ever. Thanks, Trent. I think that's a really great point. And to build the seller's confidence, because our clients don't always have confidence and they don't always, and who are they listening to? The wrong people, period. Doesn't matter who they're listening to. The neighbor, the friend, the family member, the uncle from California that has nothing relevant to share, yet they share it with you. One last thing before we wrap up is we are going to start seeing more and more homes. I don't know about you guys, but in the last couple decades, I've started to see homes in more and more disrepair and lack of maintenance, deferred maintenance. I would strongly encourage all of you, if you don't already have it in your business, a resource list, a highly vetted resource list to help bring homes out of deferred maintenance into maintained, clean, and then get to the point of like updated and refresh. I have a whole new business plan where I am actually going in and telling sellers, don't worry, I've got resources for everything. This is your scope of work. This is what you need to do. And these are the people you can call, or you can do it yourself. It's your choice, but it's a service add-on that I'm doing custom for each individual home in partnership with my resource list, right? But to your point, like, let's use soft lighting in this hallway to hide the flaws and imperfections. We know how to put homes in their best light or best presentation. If they need light fixtures, if they need carpet, if they need any number of things, build up that resource list and be willing and able to bring them out of deferred maintenance in all the way evolved into a refreshed place. Because if you think you're going to walk into every single listing appointment and have them be turnkey ready for showings, less than 10% of the time is my guess of what we're going to see on listings. And if you don't have in your toolbox the resources and the contractors to rely on and connect with and refer, you aren't going to be able to sell the house, because you're going to be having, if it's a $5,000 repair, a buyer is going to look at it as $15,000 to $30,000 repair. They multiply it so much when you can actually save the sellers money in the short term and earn them more money in the long term, right? So come together and put together a way to support them, get them out of deferred maintenance, all the way into a refresh. And I think your businesses will do better as a result of it. Was there another comment?
Nothing that pertains.
Or are you chatting in the chat?
Maybe.
All right, our next Nexus is in, if you can believe it, November. If any of you have requests or feedback or things that you would like to see, I am always all ears, there's conversations that are happening all the time. I have agents email me and say, what do you think about the elimination of buyer agents? What do we think about Redfin leaving NAR? I mean, there's stuff that's going on. We can talk about that stuff. I don't know how much that directly impacts your business today. So I always want to talk about how to impact your business today. But if there's things you want or need or would like to see, happy to hear feedback. Robert, what do we got?
One last question.
Yep.
Larissa asked, are you charging higher commissions for your service add-ons?
I do not reduce commission.
Okay.
I do not reduce commission. So oftentimes, they'll say, would you take what's your commission? And I'll say what it is. And they'll ask for maybe a reduction. And I'll say, absolutely not. I bring too much value to the table and I'm doing a full refresh, consultant on this. And normally I would charge 0.5% more or a whole % more. So it depends on the conversation. Typically not an add-on. It's been a value add for me to add the service option to my business.
Awesome.
Thanks for your attendance, guys. Appreciate your participation.
Thank
Go out and
you.
play.
Thank you.
I wanted to make sure others have the opportunity that I have.
Oh, okay, great.
Thank you.